you?
I'm great. Everybody's joining us, and I'm really excited to see everyone here and to see you.
Likewise.
And to talk about this topic that is near and dear to both of our hearts, right?
There's that part. Yes, absolutely.
So I know we share a lot of an audience, but we also have different audiences too. So, you know, for my followers, many of them know you or seen all the times I like your stuff. But for those of you who don't know Brandi, she is, you know, you're a doula by training, right? But you do so much around maternal health, postpartum, even, you know, certainly prepartum, but have such a positive message. And you're a mom of 3 yourself. How long have you been a doula?
Oh my gosh. So I got into doula work. Jedi, who's our middle child, who's going to be 5 in August. Maybe it just turned 1 year old when I started in doula work. He was, I don't even think he was walking yet. I'm not sure. But so it's been about 4 years, a little over 4 years.
So it was becoming a mom yourself, it sounds like, on some level, that maybe was part of the inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was a second time mom at that point.
Right.
And I mean, for him, you know, I just knew that things were kind of switching and shifting. And it just felt right. It was one of those things, like I had just left my career in textiles. And I just knew that it was time to move on. And it was a hard decision because it was just like, I like stability. But I just knew, I was like, it's time. And so I left. And I hosted an event with a dear friend of mine that was geared around women's health and wellness, and it was sold out. And it was just confirmation that I made the right decision. And literally one of the panelists or the moderator there, Erica Cohen, there, that's her name, asked me afterwards, she was like, have you ever thought about becoming a doula? And I was like, yeah, I have.
I have been thinking about that, actually.
I have, actually. Glad you asked.
Yeah.
And I went into a training, I think like a month later. And so
ever since then, and I'm not even sure how I came upon you. I mean, I'm always following people doing work in women's health and that sort of thing. But as I've told you already, I just love your sort of approach to it. It's very empowering. It's very inclusive. It's very normalizing. You, like me, share a lot of your own crazy situations to let people know that they're not alone. So I want you guys to let us know. We're just going to talk for a little bit, and thank you all for joining us. But we're going to talk about, you know, some sort of where our two worlds meet. Me as a sex and relationship therapist, and you as a doula and maternal health expert. Really, I mean, is that what we call you? You seem, you know, you certainly have that expertise.
I know.
How those come together, not only in general, but during this really crazy time. Because until I was speaking to you the other day, it should have occurred to me, but since I'm not about to be a mother, or really close to anyone about to be a mother, that's not where my head was. But like, I knew that mothers were going into the hospital often without their partners. I know lots of hospitals now are allowing at least a partner to go with them, but the doulas are not allowed to go in, right? So what do you see? What are you doing? Are you doing like virtual birth coaching? What are you doing with people?
Yeah, virtual. And it's interesting because I feel like a lot of us birth workers, doulas specifically, we're having to get back into the very thing that we probably have done all along.
Yeah.
A lot of us got into this work because we have that nurturing spirit in and of itself. And we've always been the one that's on the phone in the middle of the night with someone, talking them off a ledge, letting them know that they're okay. Or if they're not okay, so this is the game plan. This is what we're going to do. So we have a really unique opportunity, I think, to get back to that. It looks completely different. Instead of being at a hospital and doing hip squeezes and counter pressure and having my birthing bag and, you know, being right there and just connected that way, it looks different. Like right now, it looks like me being on the phone and walking someone through labor. It looks like offering more support postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And have you been like, I was imagining you down like with the nurse at her, you know, at the vaginal opening in Skype and being like, okay, he's crowning.
Usually that's where I am. I'm usually like, come on, you got this. I'm like right there. You know, but it does look, it looks different now, you know? Yeah. And I think some people are a little kind of weirded out about, okay, now there's a phone in my labor. This is weird. But a lot of people are like, okay, so this is someone I can call. I have 24/7 access to this person as opposed to before. So
so you think that so that's what you mean by going back to the way it used to be, where you're fully accessible. Since you can't be there in person, you're accessible on a different level.
On a whole different level. Literally, I'm in your pocket.
Oh, like, that's really interesting.
I'm right here. So whenever you need me, I'm just like, I'm there. So it's different, but I think we can either fight it or go with it.
As all things. So Brandi and I are going to take your questions about sex. We're going to talk about sex after baby, about sort of the importance. I know this is a topic really near and dear to your heart, the importance of community and the village around babies and new parents. And of course, that's an issue right now too, with social distancing. If you have questions about like bringing, you know, juggling new babies with existing kids and multiple kids, which you and I both share, you know, expectations around your relationship, postpartum, prepartum, safeguarding your relationship, any questions around that, just ask them. We're keeping track of them. But while people are thinking of their questions, and thank you for joining us too, you know, if you're thinking about having a baby, or you're trying to get pregnant, or you are pregnant and anticipating the birth, or thinking about the changes in your relationship, you got the doula maternal health, you got the sex, love, and relationships. We got it all right here, right Brandi? Here.
Absolutely.
So what would you say? I mean, I certainly have a lot to say, but what would you say you find to be the most important thing for women and couples to know postpartum about their sex lives?
I would say know that it's temporary. This is temporary. I think a lot of people, it's like when you're in it, when you're in the trenches. I mean, well, okay, let me back up. All right. So, I mean, if we're talking clinically, your sex drive is going to be low.
Right.
Especially if you're breastfeeding. Yeah. Because of prolactin.
Right. So and in order to make the breast milk, you basically have the hormones of a menopausal woman.
Basically. And I didn't know that. No one told me that. So I'm thinking, why is it that I don't feel like I'm in the mood? I don't feel like I even want to like even think about that right now. And it's weird because I had a completely different experience with each kid. So with my oldest, who's about to be 14 in November, I'm still wrapping my head around that. I didn't breastfeed him.
So that's a different thing.
Huge difference. I didn't know that. It was like 5 days that we breastfed, and then I was just like, this is too much. I don't know what to do. My mom didn't breastfeed. My mother-in-law didn't breastfeed. I don't know what to do. So my sex drive was like around 6 weeks. I was like, I'm down. Let's do this. Yeah.
Well, I remember, I mean, I'm a sex therapist and I work a lot with physicians and the medical aspects. And I hadn't really wrapped my head around that either after my second child. I breastfed all my children, but I remember after my second child, I went to the doctor and I was having some dryness. And I was like, and he looks down there, he was very funny, a comedian. He was like, oh yeah, that's a menopausal vagina if I ever saw one. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm 32 years old. How is that a menopausal vagina? And then that's when I learned. And then it all made sense, because if your estrogen is low, you know, in order to make the milk, your estrogen and testosterone is low. So you're not only going to have dryness and thinning of the vaginal walls and maybe a little bit of pain, and you're not going to be as aroused, and testosterone, which plays a part in genital sensation, nipple sensation, interest is also low. And what I have found since then, I mean, that was what, 15 years ago. Since then, doing all the research I have and coaching as many women as I have, is that it can, and I now say to women, expect it to take up to a year, 6 months
Easily.
to a year after
Easily.
you stop breastfeeding. So start the clock when you finish breastfeeding for
Yes.
your hormones to kick back into gear, you know. And then that's assuming you're not bringing in other things like hormonal contraceptives and other things that potentially affect your hormone levels.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, with Jedi, I mean, I breastfed him until it felt like until he was like 45 years old. I literally Googled, I remember Googling, is it possible for a child to never wean? Like, is that
How
a
old
thing?
was he when he weaned?
I mean, I ended up getting pregnant, and then I just kind of was just like, all done.
Yeah.
We're done. Dude, we're done. We're done. Done.
Yeah.
But he was 2 years, 7 months, and 4 days. Not that I was counting.
3 hours.
5 hours. Yeah.
I've seen 6-year-olds go up for a little sip before, so 2.5 isn't that bad.
It's not bad at all. I mean,
No.
it was.
But that's a lot. I mean, thank goodness, and you got pregnant in the middle of that too, which, I mean, that happened to me too, actually. My second child, I was breastfeeding. So my first one, who's now 23, my first one I breastfed for a year. The second one I breastfed, which was like 7 years later, I breastfed for 6 months and then was done. And the poor little third one, I only breastfed for 3 months.
Yeah.
Because the second one, the doctor, I'd had such a hard time getting pregnant with him that the doctor was like, oh yeah, the next time you're going to need in vitro, you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. This is going to be hard for you. So I didn't bother using birth control. And the day
Of course.
I stopped breastfeeding, boom, pregnant with the next one. So I was,
Yeah.
But it takes a while, right? For
It
your
does.
hormones to get back. And also, even if you didn't have a vaginal delivery, but certainly if you did, nothing feels like it's in the same place.
Nothing is in the same place.
No. I mean, like the first time you have sex after you can, like at that 6-week mark, assuming the doctor says you can, like things are not where they were before.
No, they're not. It's everything feels weird. Like, I remember feeling like, okay, this is my body, but it not feeling like my body.
Yeah.
And so it's like that in of itself can make you not want, like, feel exactly like, oh, it's sex time, everybody.
Yeah.
You
so
know?
I think it's important to know that, not to scare people or to be all doom and gloom, because it does get better. But I think it's even worse when you're going through that and you think something's wrong with me, or this is all about me, or I must not really love my partner, or, you know, am I always going to be this way? And the bottom line is no, you're not, right? It gets better.
It gets better. It gets better. It's temporary. It's temporary. And I think that's the thing that I always drive home with mamas is like, and birthing people, is that it's a moment in time that if we fast forward, you'll look back and you'll be like, okay, that was a lot.
Yeah.
What was that? What the hell was that? But it's such a small moment.
Yeah.
It's a small moment in time. It's a big, small moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of, is there anything, like, I know you believe a lot, I do too, and more alternative things and natural things. Yeah. Are there any go-to recommendations that you recommend to women for getting sex going again?
Well, hair flip.
Yeah. I'll give you mine if you give me yours.
Yeah. So there's a few products. I love Foria. Have you heard of Foria before?
Mm-hmm.
I love Foria. They have a lot of different CBD infused lubricants. Yeah. I love them. Then there's this new thing that I remember I did a partnership with. It was called Oh Nut. And it's like, I wish I could go get it and show it, but it's like these silicone round things that can kind of control penetration depth. So if it hurts a little bit, you mean? Yeah. Yeah.
That would be really good for women with pain. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it creates like, you know, he can only go in this far.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's like, it feels kind of funny too, because it's like made of silicone, but there's like these little rings. It's like rings, and you can stack them. So you can do like 2 at a time, 3 at a time, or 4 at a time. And it's great because it kind of creates that like, okay, ease it up.
Yeah, because a lot of the things that happen once she starts having pain is the anxiety of like, he's gonna, you know, go in too hard and too fast, right? So this is something, what is it called? Control nuts?
Oh, nuts.
What?
Oh, nuts.
Oh, nuts.
Oh,
I like my name better, Control Nuts. Oh, nuts.
Control nuts. Control all of them. Control all the
nuts. Okay. And then I actually have a lubricant that is all organic. I should send you some that I created with my friend at Nella Alchemy, which is fractionate or all organic, because we have to be very careful what we put in our vaginas, because that's the mucous membrane. It goes right into the bloodstream. Yeah. And if you're breastfeeding, even more so, but just in general. It's called Yoni Silk, my stuff.
I love it.
And it's made of fractionated, like liquid coconut oil, Damiana, vitamin E, vitamin D, CBD, and it can even be customized. Like if you're in the state of California, they can put THC in it, they can put maca in it, they can put special little things depending on what your issues are. So I'll have to send you some of that, but I love that. I actually created it with menopausal women at first in mind, but I found that the postpartum women love it too. And because it has the CBD in it and Damiana in it that promotes blood flow, it's a lot more arousing. Someone is asking about the O nuts, that it sounds painful. My guess is that it's like these silicone rings that slide over the penis.
Yes,
and they can, and you can have like, so if this is the penis, right? You can have multiple rings. Yes. So if he's got a penis, you know, whatever, exactly, you can make it shorter.
Yes, that's exactly how it works. Yeah. And it's not painful at all. It's literally like very soft silicone. It stretches like, I mean,
I have a line of toys that has a silicone ring in it called the Aurora, and it's this vibrating bullet that's attached to a remote control, and it has a silicone ring that slides down his penis and goes up against the base, and then there's like a little harness for the vibrating ring, so when you're having penetration, it provides hands-free clitoral stimulation.
So you're gonna have to send me all the goodies.
Yeah, I'll send you a care package.
All these goodies sound great. I'm like, yes, all of that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. And for anyone else interested, you can go to the shop on my website, drlauraberman.com. But
I definitely love those products, though. I mean, a lot of, I think O-Nut, they really were they were aimed at folks with endometriosis. Mm-hmm. So, and you know, I've heard great things about them, and I have them here.
I'm gonna have to check it out because I work with a lot of women with pain, and I have dilators that I work with them with, but I've never. That's a good idea because it really gives her a sense of comfort and control. That he's not gonna, even with the best intentions, she worries that he's gonna lose himself and forget for a second and just go. You know,
I just had a baby like yesterday.
Yeah.
And you're like, ease up. Slow it down, brother.
What about, if you have any questions, remember I think we do have one question here. Is there a way that you can increase your sex drive? Someone's asking after baby while breastfeeding. I think you have to be, I mean, what I would say from a medical perspective, I'm curious what you would say, Brandi, is that, you know, obviously you don't want to take, you want to be really careful what you take, period, anytime, but especially when you're breastfeeding. But there's two things. One, I find in particular for women, if sex is more pleasurable, not painful, and more fun, we want to do it more. And secondly, once you have a kid, even one kid, much less multiple kid, if you are waiting for sex to happen spontaneously, you're going to be waiting a very long time. And one of the huge transitions, and I would love your take on this too, Brandi, one of the huge transitions I think every parent, especially mother, needs to make is the transition from thinking that sex is always supposed to be spontaneous to embracing the scheduling. like knowing that it's going to happen at least once a week, even if it's a different day or a different time every week or the same day and time every week. But you can kind of get into the mindset. You can flirt with each other growing up to that. You can shave your legs. You like know what to expect. You can get yourself in the mood. You can take an extra nap, you know, whatever. But then it becomes something that you can look forward to, and not something that keeps, but expecting your desire as we get older and in a long-term relationship and with kids and life, expecting it to be sourced from a place of spontaneous horniness, let's just say, ain't gonna happen. It's your desire has to come from a place of wanting to connect with your partner, wanting to express love, wanting to be in your body, wanting to share something really intimate, you know, all of these different motivations that aren't necessarily spontaneous horniness, because you're too freaking tired and raw to be spontaneously horny most of the time.
That part. I ditto what you said, because I feel like a lot of us after baby, we want to go back so desperately to before. And before, we don't take into account what before looked like all of the things, like before there were no kids. Interrupting and walking into the room and wanting to be held and breastfeeding. And before, you weren't tired as you are now.
Yeah, it changes. Everything changes. And a lot of people are saying, like, and hopefully show your partners this. A lot of women are weighing in here saying, you know, I need my husband to hear this because it all ends up on the woman. Why don't you want to have it? And like, so guys, understand that A, this is temporary, and B, you know, it's a lot for the body to take, and it takes time to get it back.
It does. And I think the scheduling thing, what you mentioned, is so on point, because I feel like a lot of us, it's like we almost think that if we schedule it, then it's not romantic. And it's like, no, you schedule everything else. Like, if anything, you can lead up to it. It's a ritual almost.
And you send each other sexy texts and like,
exactly.
Looking forward to you know, you can make it really fun. I think that's the movie's fault, because we have this image that great sex, which it is when you first get together and you can't get enough of each other and you have no responsibilities and you're, you know, like you're having sex every which way all the time.
Of course you are.
But that's what we think is the only kind of good sex, when
it's not. It's not. Sometimes it's literally just, okay, we are scheduling this every week or every 2 weeks, or whatever that feels, what feels best for you, but waiting on it to just happen, where you're just gonna be walking around and all of a sudden it's gonna happen. It's like, how is that gonna happen? When?
Or you'll do what most women do and like suddenly be in the mood at 3 p.m. You know, or 10 a.m. when, I mean, now during this whole pandemic, you would be together, but normally you wouldn't be together. And then by the time 6 o'clock comes and you are together, you know, the moment has passed.
It's gone.
So you have to really schedule it. Lovely lady Stina is asking, saying, my feelings about my husband have changed after I gave birth. Is this normal? What would you say? I say it's normal, but what do you say?
I 100% say it's normal. I think everything changes after having baby. The way you feel about everything, the way you feel about, I mean, if we even think of the things that you ate while you were pregnant, then all of a sudden you don't like them afterward. If that can shift, probably the way you feel about your husband can shift too. I think we have to give ourselves a lot of grace in that the fluctuation and the ebb and flow of what's happening internally, our hormones and our bodies are changing so much. And just as quick as you were like, I don't know how I feel about that dude right now, it will probably change back in the next week. Like, oh, he is really sweet and really nice and kind. And
it will change a lot, lovely lady Stina. And I would also say that, like, if you think about what we were saying, you know, after you gave birth, first of all, even if you don't breastfeed, it can take 3 to 6 months for your hormones to re-equilibrate. But if you do breastfeed, like we were saying, 6 months to a year after breastfeeding stops. So if you think about that and you compare it to, let's say, you know, a woman in perimenopause or in the menopausal transition, you know, that woman often wants to kill her husband. Not literally, but like there's a part of her, she's feels very
Yep.
differently. Or as
Yep.
my husband says, like one day a month, I'm ready to blow up the world, and my relationship and anyone else who can, like, he
Yeah.
knows my period is coming in 1 week as soon as
Yeah.
I start turning into a high
You
holy
want to
bitch.
press the button.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would press the red button if I had one. And so, you know, I think just from that, it's obvious that if you're just having given birth, or even a year out of birth, especially if you're breastfeeding, that
Yeah.
you're going to have mood swings. There are going to be times, and, you know, depending on how helpful your partner is, how understanding your partner is, how invested your partner is, you're going to vacillate between, you know, wanting to bury them alive and, you know, wanting to put them on a pedestal, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It's like, I think finding gentleness in that,
Mm-hmm.
that it's okay. You're not a saint.
Yeah.
You're human.
And I think that's why community is more important than ever. I want to talk about that, but Stinsma is asking, you can answer this question, Brandi, any advice for an aspiring doula who has not given birth herself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Some of my dearest friends who are doulas and who I've learned from are actually not mothers yet, or have chosen not to be mothers. And I will say this, one of the pluses that you have is that you can come into it without involving your own experience. One of the things that I always have to work on, or not really work on, I have to really hone in on a lot, is making sure that even though I know how that may end, or I see how that may turn out, is not interjecting my experience into their experience. And so, because we're totally different people. So you have, I think, an advantage almost. You know, you can really look at it from a place of, I'm here to support you. And, you know, I'm not adding anything into it. I'm not bringing any feelings into it, out, you know, that are not, you know, you know. So, yeah, I think you don't have to be a mother to be a doula.
Yeah.
You do not.
And it's just a matter, and to just go and get the training, right? Go and get yourself trained.
Absolutely. Find a training that's in your area. I'm not sure where you're based, but there are a lot of trainings that go on. A lot of them, I think a lot of people are actually doing online virtual trainings as we speak. I think Carriage House Birth has one coming up. I'm not sure. I could be completely wrong. But there's quite a few. You just literally sign up and learn. Just take it all in, and you're constantly learning. Like I did a training again, like last year, just because I was like, I want more information. I want more. So.
Yeah, and there's always something new to learn. Rebecca Kurt loves your hat too, by the way. I do too.
Thank you. It makes me look like, you know, I cared for the
yeah, well, maybe I got to start doing that too. I need a hat.
It's a distraction. That's all it is.
And it's also good for the roots that we're not doing right now. So what about community? Because this is kind of what we're offering here, right? Like there are all of these, you know, lots of people are saying this is so on point. I'm breastfeeding right now. You know, oh, hi, E. Taylor's weighing in from Hammond, Indiana. You know, lots of people are who feel like they're crazy or who don't understand it. You know, we're creating a little moment of community here, like letting you know you're not alone, and certainly share this with your friends and your partners. But Brandi, you know, I know you do so much, and before this whole social distancing thing, you were doing events and you know, I love all of the inclusive work you're doing with women from all different communities and in all different parts of town and all different, you know, socioeconomic and racial diversity and everything else, because we're all, I mean, we all have our unique challenges, but we all have these common denominators as well. So what are you thinking in terms of like how to create that community and that village under these current circumstances for new parents or for parents who are about to become, you know, people who are about to become parents?
Yeah. So I've been really keeping my antennas open and up to different resources focused around postpartum. Because I know for me, I couldn't imagine right now giving birth and then bringing home baby or having baby at home, wherever, and then having to be alone.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
Right?
At least in the hospital, you have a nurse, a doctor, even if you don't have your partner.
Right. And a lot of hospitals now, and I get it, I totally get it. Within 24 hours, a lot of parents are going home. Some even by 6 hours, they're going home.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get people in and out.
Yeah. So they're not exposed.
Which is, I totally dig that.
Yeah.
But I would say for me, just really figuring out community afterward. So what does that look like? I think, you know, that looks like meal trains. It may not look like someone bringing over a casserole, or it may, you know, as long as they're not sick. Don't bring over a casserole if you're sick. Stay home. But if they do, leave it on the front porch. Or if someone wants to do, like, send over, like, Postmates or Grubhub gift cards.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good baby gift. Yeah,
I know for me, I did something really smart this time. By baby number 3, I got really, really smart.
What did you do?
Oh my gosh. So instead of doing a huge, like, okay, I'm going to do like a shower where bring all the stuff. I need all the stuff. I was like, yeah, no, don't bring
I got the stuff.
I got all the stuff. I got all the baby gear. Don't bring stuff. If you bring a box, I'm going to look at you crazy. Don't do it. I opted for people helping, like, support postpartum care. So I had a fund via Baby List. It's a online resource that basically you can add, like, your physical baby shower needs, but also monetary, which is great.
Baby
List.
Okay.
Baby List. So basically, like, everyone just, like, contributed to Baby List, and I was able to take care of my postpartum stuff, my home birth, and then I had a blessing way, like maybe like a month, 3 weeks before I was due. And I just invited some really, really close friends over to the house. And the thing was, they would just bring over meals that I could freeze.
Smart again.
And that was it. Just bring over meals that I could freeze. Or if cooking is not your thing, don't experiment on me. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Grubhub or Postmates gift cards. Yeah. And it really saved me.
On me.
Please don't experiment. I don't want to. Don't experiment on me, please. I don't want that.
And I think also, you know, someone at AAWB 143 is saying, you know, I didn't know, she said she had a hard time nursing, and one of the communities that kept her going were Facebook groups, all the tips and support. So, you know, we can have, which is great advice, we can have all sorts of community, right? Like, we can not only call on our literal community to help us virtually and long distance, but we can tap into the amazing online community of people. And whatever your issue, if you're having problems with breastfeeding or postpartum depression or trying to get the baby to sleep, I mean, there are so many amazing Facebook groups and resources out there. I am Safidi said it took her about 2 years to get back in the groove. So yeah, you are not alone. I mean, I think it took, and with each consecutive baby, for some reason with me, it took longer. I don't know why? Maybe because I was getting older, but it seemed to take, like, after 4 years after my last one, I was like, okay, maybe I can't call this baby weight anymore. You know, when the baby's 4 years old, I think I lose that ability.
Oh my God. It's crazy. No, it's real. It's funny because, I mean, I told someone, I said, I've been tethered to a human, another human, for the past 6 years. Either through pregnancy, breastfeeding, or pregnancy again, and now breastfeeding again.
I went through that too.
Whew, it's something.
Yeah. My husband and I were just talking about that the other day. Like, just think about it right now, instead of our kids being upstairs, you know, in their little classrooms virtually, we would be like carrying a baby. He's like, it's so weird. Like, I remember having to carry this baby. Like, I couldn't just put it down and go away. You know, it's like you have to have this tether to this little life.
Absolutely.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot on the body. I think it's funny. A dear friend, her name is Roots Hart, said proper postpartum care is so key with all this moving forward. It is. Just having that community, you know, multiple people, like, coming in and out the house, like, just helping with these kids. It's important. It's so important.
Lot of people forget the postpartum. They don't really think about it. I mean, doulas help postpartum, but
they
everyone
do.
else is like, oh, you had the baby, you're fine now. But like, that's when all hell is breaking loose.
That's when you need all the support. I mean, you need a lot of support postpartum. You really, really do. I mean, I feel like people need to have life doulas in and of itself. I mean, I mean, technically you're a doula too. I mean,
I am a doula.
You are. I mean, you're a sex doula.
I would love to be a doula. I've always loved doulas. I just think like this yummy mother love presence that's been here for centuries, you know, of like midwifing women's births. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, technically you're a sex doula. I mean, it's like
doula.
You're a sex doula.
Yeah.
Like, you're guiding people in their journey through sex.
All right. That's what I am, folks. I'm a sex doula.
You're a sex
Someone
doula.
is asking, and I saw all your videos. You can go on Brandi. It's B Stereo, right? B Stereo is her Instagram page. But she has lots of videos on there of her home birth. So Rebecca Kurt is asking how your home birth went.
Yeah. It was good. It was yummy. That's the only thing I could say. It was just so yummy. I honestly would have all the kids if I could repeat that birth. I really would. But I'm like,
how did you? I was looking at the videos and I wanted to ask you because it's not. Is Jedi your second one? I'm trying to remember who the second
Jedi's
one is.
my second.
Okay, so Jedi, I guess he was littler than he is now, but he was waddling around while you were in the pool, the little kiddie pool, going, you know, like full on contractions. And I was like, God, you know, was he scared? Like, I would imagine that I would scare the poop out of my kids with the amount of screaming and cursing that I did when I was giving birth. But
you know, he wasn't scared. I think he was surprised because in essence, I had said, hey, there's a baby in mommy's belly.
Yeah.
So I've been saying that, but I don't really think he took me seriously.
It didn't register,
No, until Jupiter came out into the water and he was like, oh, snap. There really is a baby.
Was he like over the side of the pool watching?
Yes. There's a part in the video. If you look at him, zero in on him, he's like this. And he's like, she wasn't lying. Oh my God.
Like, there really is a baby in there.
Yeah, he looked like, oh my gosh, this is like all the things that I've ever wanted in one. Like, here's a baby. And there's a pool in my living room.
Oh my, everything. Dream come true. That reminds me of him watching the birth, reminds me of another question I want to ask you, because I feel pretty opinionated about this, and it's not a very progressive opinion, but there's a reason for it.
I'm waiting to hear this.
I think that when fathers should totally be part of the birth, 100% in every way, but it is not ideal for them to watch everything that's coming out down there and the genitals that are so beautiful that they love and worship suddenly becoming this like crazy huge thing with poop coming out underneath it and the head, you know, like I worked with so many couples where the guy, you know, was like, I'm down at the bottom, I'm ready to catch, and then he never recovers. He can never, like, I mean, I help him recover, but for years, he can't look at her genitals the same. And so I know it's supposed to be all kumbaya, let me be down at your crotch catching the baby, but I don't think that he should see that. So what do you think about that?
I 100% agree. I think if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of us wouldn't even want, I mean, it would do something to us to see that. Like, it's a lot going on down there. It's so much.
My girlfriend, one of my oldest friends, Marla, was in the room with me when my first was born. She was going to videotape it, and she was down between my legs, and all of a sudden I'm like pushing, and all of a sudden I feel it's before the baby comes, so something else came out, and I was like, okay, that's enough. You're now over my shoulder.
Yeah, we like
as soon as I pooped on camera, I was like, okay, done with the crotch shot. I can't even imagine. But she was down there watching, and that is the funniest part of it. Like, the part I remember most is her being like, oh my God. Like, she could not believe what she was seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I think listen, to each his own. There are some people who are like, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I love poop. I love
everything about you. Show me your your
show me
3
all
foot
of it.
wide open vagina, and I will want to climb inside there. Yeah.
Yes, some people are like that, and they're just like okay with it, and there's some that are like, wow, that was a lot. Oh my God, I can't unsee that.
So did your husband watch down there, or did he watch over the shoulder?
I feel like with Jax, he did. He was by my shoulder, but then he started getting really nosy. He was like, oh, wow, that's cool. But he's also a very different dude. Like, he also, like, kind of cut up my placenta from my chest, and he's that person.
Yeah, so he doesn't get grossed out by stuff.
Right. Yeah. But there are some people that it's like, they can't unsee it, and it's a lot to work through. I mean, I mean, to each his own. I think it's about really listening to what is going to give you the most peace, not buying into this like, well, if he doesn't look down there, then this means that.
Right.
No, it just
or
means
that
he doesn't want to see
has
poop,
to.
baby.
Yeah. Or that he shouldn't, right? Like,
or that
whatever.
he shouldn't. Like, he just doesn't, I think to each his own, Yeah. That's what I think.
I think you're right. But there's nothing wrong with not having him down there. I just keep thinking about this couple.
There's
one couple where, like, literally 10 years later, he had never gone down there again. I mean, he would have intercourse, but he had never gone down there again. I made him look like not in front of me, but like that was his homework assignment. Like he had to like he had never looked. He was scared to look. I was like, I swear to you, it does not look like you remember. It's been 10 years.
He was scarred.
Like, all tucked in again. He was really traumatized. And
I can see that. I get that.
I do see that happen a lot. But you're right. It depends on the person. All right. So here's a question from Sydney. She says her friend's about to have her first baby. What's something that Sydney can get her to help her postpartum? She's sure she doesn't need another onesie.
No, she does not.
No.
She does not need another onesie. I think it's, in fact, the majority of the time, the baby's going to be on you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. Like, when they're new, they're going to be in a diaper and a swaddle, or maybe just skin to skin.
Yeah. And then they grow out of the onesie in like 2 seconds anyway, so it doesn't matter.
There's that. I think the biggest way you can support your friend is postpartum care, postpartum support. Put that money toward postpartum support. That would be the gift that keeps on giving.
Like for the Grubhub and Postmates coupons and meals and
postpartum doula even.
Or even like a care, like the care.com. Not that she'll want that for a while, but like babysitting or childcare.
All of that.
Especially this is her first baby, so she won't need help with the other kids.
Yeah.
Right. And speaking of the other kids, any advice of things that you recommend for parents kind of blending a new baby into an existing family of other babies?
I would say, the more conversations, the better. So kind of preparing them ahead of time, and depending on how young they are, they may get it. And then Jedi was like, he didn't get it until literally Jupiter was here. Yeah. He's like, oh, for real. There's a baby. I think preparing them just be a conversation. There are a lot of little cute books out there now, even talking about younger siblings. I think those are great. For older kids, Jax was 12 years old when Jupiter was born. Just kind of, talking, hey, and really empowering them to be a part of it is really great. So Jedi, he hasn't changed diapers yet, but he knows where the diapers are. He knows where the wipes are.
And he helps.
I think just empowering them to be a part of it and knowing that the entire family is expanding. It isn't just this new baby that is just hogging the attention. It's literally an expansion of, we have more love. We have more people. We have more. It's more. It's abundance.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely lady Stina is saying also having friends and family come over and wash dishes and do laundry and bring meals made her want to cry for joy. So Sydney, those are all great things you can offer your friend.
Yes. Those are great. I feel like postpartum support, that is the thing. That is the gift. There's this whole saying that the first 40 years is the first 40 days is a precursor to the next 40 years.
And the first 40 days can feel like 40 years if you don't have enough support. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like how you take care of yourself and nurture yourself during that time is a precursor. And so, I mean, taking that really seriously and just commissioning all the support.
Yeah. And it's a great time for women, especially who tend not to really receive well or ask for help or need, is there anything I can do for you? Oh, no, I don't need anything. Part. You know, like this is a time to say, screw that, bring it.
Yes.
Bring it, you know, give yes, please. Any kind of support is welcome, you know? And that is something that's a gift in and of itself, learning how to ask for help and receive help when it's offered, and do that with grace. And I think that's really important too. People are asking again, so that it was called, hold on, let me just see where that other question was. Oh, they wanted to know the name of it. So we were talking about the products. Oh Nuts was the one if you have pain and you want to kind of limit the penetration or the length that he can go in. Oh Nuts. And Yoni Silk was lubricant. You can find all sorts of toys and Yoni Silk on my website on drlauraberman.com. You can find out all about Brandi. They can get to your website on your Instagram page, right?
Sure can.
Be Stereo.
Yep.
And well, now are you going to do virtual events now that you're not doing in-person ones?
Yeah, I'm here at the house, so everything is virtual.
Yeah, I know, me too.
I'm chilling. We're virtual.
Okay, good. So you can follow up on her. Any last words of wisdom, Brandi, my beautiful behatted friend?
Oh my gosh, be gentle. Be gentle with yourself. I mean, it's a lot. It is so much. It's so much. And anyone in their right mind will say, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, we're supposed to be like bringing home the bacon, giving birth and making it to and whatever. But like, if you think about, I think about this all the time, like what it takes. I don't care how you got pregnant in vitro, whatever it was, like that sperm and that egg came together, started to divide, like in that unique way, grew into a fetus, into an embryo, into a little human that your body grew. I mean, I say that to my teenagers all the time. I was like, I grew you. I can't believe that I grew you in my body, and that we like push them out, whether it's through like that we release them into the world, and that we have everything in our bodies to sustain them. Like that is the hugest thing.
It's huge.
That like anyone or that is a huge mountain. That is bigger than the Himalayas, and like it's huge.
Yeah.
So you deserve all the support you can get for that amazing act of love and power and strength and grace and miracle. I mean, mind blowing when you think about it.
Yeah, it's like you did that. Yeah. Be gentle. Take time. Take space. Absolutely.
It's really amazing. And keep being gentle with yourself. When they start acting like assholes to you, say, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't be here. So thank you very much. You are welcome. Is what I say.
You're so welcome.
Yes. You're so welcome. Or when they tell me I'm fat, like, you see that stretch mark? That was you. You did that.
That was you. That was you. You did that. You did that. All the stretchiness and jiggliness. You did all that. It was
well worth it.
Yes.
Well, Moonlit Mrs. says they love us. She loves us together. We love together too, and we love you. Thank you for joining me, Brandi.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. Such an honor.
For me too. We'll do more of this. And to be continued, check out Brandi at Be Stereo. Check out my shop. You can ask any follow-up questions. We will save this and save live and repost it so you can watch it or share it. And take care of yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Embrace the miracle. Have community and keep us posted, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Mwah.
All right. Mwah. I'll see you later.
Bye.